Hello everyone, Crack the Code here with the fourth episode of the Java Basics series. In this episode we will actually write something of value, a calculator. Also we will be going over variables and data types and just in general how to use them. Okay, so to get started we need to create a new project in Eclipse. So go ahead and click in the upper left corner, New, and let's do a Java project. And let's go ahead and call this project Simple Calc. Okay, let's just click finish. Now of course we need a class in which to write our code in for our calculator, so go ahead and go to the package explorer on the left, and under simple calc source right click, do new class, and go ahead and let's name this class calc. Okay, now we have our class here, and of course we can't just begin writing because we need our main method. So let's go and write that up here. So public static void main, and then go ahead and do string args. Okay. Alright, so now we have our main method all written up. Now we can begin writing between these two brackets, which indicate that it is within the main method. Okay, so now let's go ahead and start. In Java, the way you write numbers and text and everything, they're all represented by variables. So, a variable, it holds a value. So, for example, let me just show you. We could have a number, which in Java is called an int or an integer, which all it means is that it holds a positive or negative number. So an int or integer, and you can name the variable. So we can call it integer number 1 is equal to 0. Now, what we just did here, we just gave we gave integer number 1 a value of 0. And we can set the value to whatever we want. We can set it to 50, we can set it to 75, it doesn't matter. This is the value. We can also change the name, so we could call it numx, like that. Now for our calculator, we'll need two number variables exactly like this. So let's go ahead and create. So now we have integer number x. I'm just gonna set it to 0 right now. And let's go ahead and create a second one. So int, so integer, indicating that we want to create a negative or positive object, a number. So now let's do num y. Now you can call these whatever you want. I'm just gonna go and call these number x and number y. Okay, let's go and set those both to 0 for now. And now we have our two values in which we can mess around with. So of course for our calculator we can actually add these two numbers together. Now 0 plus 0 won't exactly yield many results, so let's do, 14 plus 15. So num x is equal to 14 and num y is equal to 15. Now that we just set those two values like that. Okay, now a really simple way to add these up would be to print them out in the same way that we print out hello world up here. Let's go and just run this. In the same way that we just print out hello world, we can print out numbers. It doesn't have to be text. Oh yeah, and that's another thing about these data types. We said integer, we can't put text. So I can't say hello. That's just Java will not accept that. It has to, see, it'll say change the type to a string. A string holds a string of text. Like a number can only go with a number, and a string of text can only go with a string of text. So let's change this back to a number because we do not want a string of text right now. So let's change it back to 14, and there we go. But system.out.println can print numbers and it can print strings. So in here what we want to do is print out the sum of these strings, and that is actually pretty easy to do in Java. All you need to do is do num x plus num y. And when we run that up here, we get the sum of these two numbers. So 14 plus 15 equals 29. We get 29 down here. And that's the really basic calculator that you can make. So now that we just did that, we can actually make this a little bit fancier. And we can make this easier for ourselves too. It's kind of annoying to write out num x plus num y inside of the system.out.println parameters or within these parentheses. So something that we can actually do to make our job a little bit easier, like let's just say that we are writing this over and over and over again, the sum of these two numbers. So you can actually go ahead and put the sum of these numbers within a variable. So you can go and do an integer. Remember, these are two integers. They have to be within an integer variable. So go ahead and create integer. You can do added numbers. And remember, you can call this whatever you want, but I'm just going to call this added numbers just for simplicity. And you can do num x plus num y. So now this variable represents the sum of num x and num y. So instead of putting this, we can just do added nums. Put that parentheses, and if we run that, we still get 29. So that's something that we can do that makes it a little bit neater and just clearer in general. Okay, now to make this a little bit more fancy, we can print out some text inside of the print line. So go ahead and add some quotations, and you can go ahead and write the two numbers are, and go ahead and put a colon and a space. And you can do, whenever you're printing out, you can print out multiple objects, numbers, text, whatever, inside of a single print line command. But make sure you add a plus in between them to differentiate between these objects. So plus, and then let's go ahead and put num x. So we're saying the two numbers are whatever number x is, plus, and let's put a space here, and another space, plus num y. Oh, sorry, no quotations there, just num y. And you want to put another quotation in between num y and added nums, because you don't want to add num y to the added nums. That'll mess up our equation. So we have this whole line now. Let's go and run it, and then I'll kind of explain it if it was kind of confusing. So here we go. The two numbers are, and see, I didn't actually add a space in between, so let's go and add a space there. So the two numbers are 14 and 15, and then it says the sum. So we can actually say, and the sum is, and then add a space, and then plus. And now we don't need this, so yeah, let's do that. Okay, said the two numbers are 14 and 15, and the sum is 29. Not exactly the best grammar there, but you get the point. So let's go and just enter that just to make it slightly, just to make it all so we can see it. So all we did here is add some text to the print line command. And I put the spaces just so it looks good. If there were no spaces, then it would kind of look like a jumble. See? Whereas before, it looks a lot better. So that's why I put the spaces. And all I did was print out some text, some strings of text. The two numbers are, plus whatever number x is, and then plus a string of text and plus number y. And then plus, and the sum is the added numbers that we did over here. Alright, so that's about it. I'm making a super primitive, simple calculator. But it works, and you can add two numbers. You can change the value of the two numbers, and it will change accordingly. So now that changes to 31, and this changes down here. So this is actually pretty cool, and you can play around with this and experiment with it. You can add more strings of text. You can add more numbers. You can multiply numbers. You can divide numbers, subtract. It all works. It all works. Just make sure you're using the same data types with each other. You can't mix and match different data types. You can't mix a string with an integer, and that was kind of the point of all of this. Okay, so hopefully you enjoyed and benefited from this video. If you like this video, go ahead and like it, and if you love this video, go ahead and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one.